Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aina Bila Husna binti Muhammad Malian. So today I would like to present my thesis project titled A Review of Cocoa and Cocoa Bean Shells on Daily Consumptions that being supervised by Dr. Hajah Nurul Nadirah Mat Isa. So for the presentation outline, there will be Chapter 1, the introduction, that consists of research background, problem statement, significance of study, objective, and research hypothesis as well as research question, that continued with Chapter 2, the literature review, that consists of Theobroma cocoa, the overview and characteristic, cocoa processes, nutritional values, polyphenols, methaxanthines, and chocolate products, and being continued with Chapter 3, the conclusion. 1.1 Research background. Theobroma cacao, also known as cacao or cocoa, is a tropical tree in the Sterculiaceae family of the Malvaceae order and belongs to the genus Theobroma. Cocoa is a commercial crop with global economic significance and the primary ingredient in chocolate production. Cocoa production is in high demand both domestically and internationally. With the growth of the agro-industry sector, the demand is increasing. The size, shape, exterior color, and look of the fruit vary amongst types, and these characteristics are frequently used to categorize cocoa. Next is problem statement. The characteristics and benefits of chocolates as one of the most consumed products coming from cocoa are ignored and not prioritized, making it more undervalued. The difficulties in doing research and study on each component inside the cocoa and cocoa bean shells are because of the widespread distribution and hardly to be discovered. Therefore, a thoughtful study and research has to be done on every type of cocoa bean from different places, as different types of cocoa have different amounts of polyphenol substances and constituents. For the significance of the study, the consumers are able to consume the right amount and suitable products made of cocoa to improve their health related to their demands. This study should be helpful for those cocoa consumers to gain both nutritious and pleasure from the products. There are always the benefits of consuming cocoa that are published, while the bad effects of consuming too much of their products are always left behind. For the objective, it is generally known that cocoa has impacted the world by becoming one of the main raw materials that are being used to make other products that benefit in many ways. The need to further this research on cocoa and cocoa bean shell to understand their main contributions to human health. Therefore, the objective of this study are: the first one is to identify possible benefits of consuming cocoa and cocoa bean shell in daily intake. The second one is to recognize the process of producing high-quality cocoa beans and cocoa-based products. And the third one is to analyze nutritional values and health-promoting effects coming from the cocoa and cocoa bean shell. The next one is the research hypothesis and also research question. There are three main research hypotheses, which is the first one is direct consumption of cocoa byproducts such as chocolate has a significantly negative effect towards consumers. The second one is there are several losses of nutrients during the fermentation, roasting and drying process. And the third one is beverages made out of cocoa are less beneficial towards health due to processes and added ingredients. While for the research question, the first one is, does the consumer choose to consume certain products of cocoa because of their availability of nutrients? The second one is it possible to minimize the loss of nutrients throughout each phase of the process in making a good product of cocoa? And the third one is, what are the most demanded products of cocoa in the market these days? The next one is 2.1, which is the Theobroma cocoa, the overview and also the characteristic. There are four morphogenetic groups of cocoa that being cultivated around the world, which are the Forastero, Criollo, Trinitario, and also the Nacional variety, which differs through their presence of pods, beans, the flavor, and level of resistance to any cocoa diseases, and also their geographic origin. So the first varieties is called as Trinitario, that originated from Trinidad, Grenada, Colombia, and also Tobago, and it has a unique wine-like flavor. And it has a very strong basic chocolate character, and also fine grade and resistant towards VSD disease, which is vascular streak dieback. The second variety is called as Nacional, which is it is originally from Ecuador, and it is derived from combination between Nacional ancestor and also Trinitario variety. And it has an arriba taste, which is consists of full cocoa flavor with some floral and also spicy flavors. The next variety is called as Forastero, which is originated from Lower Amazon and being cultivated in Bahia in Brazil and also West Africa. And it has a basic, ordinary taste with less bitter, less astringent, and also less acidic. And it is characterized as a bulk type and resists to pests and diseases. The last variety is called as Criollo, which is originated from Venezuela, Sri Lanka, Samoa, Madagascar, and also northern South America. And it has a highly aromatic and are desired because of its nutty and fruity flavor. And it is characterized as a fine grade and liable to be harm to diseases and promotes low yields. The next one is the cocoa process. Okay, the processes started with pulp pre-conditioning, fermentation, drying, and also roasting. All the processes are important to obtain the best version of cocoa product and to develop the best chocolate characteristic. As the raw cocoa are considered inedible or non-desired food because of the unpleasant and also astringent taste that will provide. Okay, so the first process is called as fermentation. Fermentation process begins with the actions of many involved microorganisms such as acetic acid bacteria, yeast, lactic acid bacteria that helps in producing a flavor compound in some favorable environment. Cocoa fermentation is an important process in the cocoa and chocolate production because the development of flavors and flavor precursors are dependent on such processes that give cocoa its distinctive bouquet. The pH level in the cocoa beans are decreasing during the fermentation process as it helps to power up the enzymatic reaction for further process. The second process are drying process. Okay, one of the drying form is through natural sun drying methods which remove moisture through vaporization and evaporation. Drying process of cocoa beans will use heating mechanism and reduce the moisture content by 7.5% out of the total amount of the cocoa beans. The drying process is known as one of the successful preservation methods as it helps in discarding moisture and making the cocoa beans safely stored for a longer period of time. And the drying process should operate in optimal rate because too fast drying reactions will result in excessive production of acetic acids that will affect the flavor, while slower drying process resulting in lower pH level which will affect the cocoa beans color and increasing the malt's growth. The last process is the roasting process. The main reason for roasting the cocoa beans is because of the demand on using roasted beans instead of unfermented cocoa beans to produce most of the cocoa-based product. The total amount of phenolic loss during the roasting process are depending on many factors such as the temperature, duration, different cocoa varieties, and also the geographical regions of the cocoa beans. Roasting process helps in developing sensory properties such as better taste, favorable texture, and good coloration, as well as reducing some polyphenolic compounds as their negative side effects. The next one is the nutritional values. Okay, there are numerous nutritional values that can be obtained from cocoa beans and cocoa bean shells, which are the proteins, fat, sugars, ashes, vitamins, minerals, and moisture that vary in quantity and percentage. Cocoa-derived products also contribute such potential health benefits such as antifungal and anti-carcinogenic that depend on various factors which are their variety, climates, agronomic conditions, storage conditions, and post-harvest practices. Cocoa bean and cocoa bean shells are composed of numerous bioactive compounds such as polyphenols and methylxanthines. Both polyphenols and methylxanthines are dependent on its origin, their genotype, climatic conditions, the soil conditions, and management of harvesting the cocoa. Polyphenols have been linked to a variety of physiological functions, including antioxidant and anti-mutagenic properties. The advantages of plants with polyphenolic compounds are that they can get rid of any free radicals as well as protection for humans against oxidative damage and diseases from the free radical relatable. Polyphenols are believed to provide a taste of bitterness and astringency in cocoa products such as chocolate and are classified as secondary metabolites. The level of bioactive compounds in the cocoa beans coming from different countries are depending on the type of cultivar in each country and the production process of the cocoa. The next bioactive compound is methylxanthine. The methylxanthine compounds that are found in the cocoa are theobromine, caffeine, and also some of theophylline. The amount of theobromine contents and caffeine are depending on the cocoa genotypes itself, where the amount of caffeine are studied to be relatively small than the theobromine. Theobromine gives a bitter taste, colorless, odorless, and also produce chocolate properties as well as one of the caffeine metabolites. Theobromine are useful in moderate amounts and it could be poisonous in larger amounts intake. The side effect of consuming too much caffeine is it will give rise to the body temperature of human. And the figure shows the caffeine metabolism reaction which the caffeine are turned into theobromine. The next one is chocolate products that made of cocoa beans and cocoa bean shells. Okay, some intermediate products that usually used to produce chocolate-based products from cocoa beans are the cocoa liqueur, cocoa butter, and raw cocoa powder that usually used in flavoring biscuit, cake, and other dairy products. Higher level of chocolate liqueur contents will give sweet and semi-sweet taste. Higher amounts of theobromine in chocolate will reflect higher quality of chocolate products. The dark side of cocoa-based consumption is that there is a total of 15% to 35% range of sugar that is usually being added to the products. Cocoa bean shells are widely applied to produce a good product of beverages such as carbonated soft drinks, preparation of homemade functional beverages, and dairy drinks such as coffee that will mix with chocolate. Okay, so in conclusion, the possible health benefits present in cocoa compounds are antifungal, anti-carcinogenic that always depends on the cocoa variety, climate, storage condition of the cocoa beans, and the post-harvest practices. The development of cocoa sensory properties by forming a good coloration, a better taste, and some favorable texture with some reduction of polyphenolic compounds as its negative side effects are observed. For future improvement in cocoa research, the recommendation is to continue expand the study on various processes contributing in producing the highest quality of cocoa-based product.